Welcome to GRK lectures. In this class, we discuss OOPS concepts, means object oriented programming concepts. So, these are the different OOPS concepts. Total 6 concepts available: object, class, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, and encapsulation. So, we discuss all these concepts one by one. First, we discuss class and object. Class is a basic building block of object oriented programming, because in the object oriented programming, in order to write any program, first the class must be created. Without class, we can't write any program. That's why we call it as a basic building block of object oriented programming. And it is going to act as a user defined data type in the program, which contains data members and member methods, or we can also call member functions. And class is like a blueprint. That means whatever the members we mention in the class will not allocate any memory to the members of the class. That's why we call it as blueprint. And as an example, vehicles and fruits, these two are the examples for the class. So now we discuss this with an example in detail. Let us consider a vehicle is an class, because that vehicle represents a collection of vehicle types, different vehicle types. So that vehicle class contains two properties, that is color and length. So here at this instance, we can't assign any value to the color and to the length property, because we have not mentioned what type of vehicle is going to be considered under this vehicle category. So now object. So object is an identifiable entity with some characteristics and behavior. An object can also be defined as instance of the class, because once we have the class, under that class we can create any number of objects. So without class, we can't create any object. For example, here vehicle is a class. So under that vehicle, we can create any number of vehicles. So assume that under vehicle category, first I am considering car. So car is one vehicle. So once car is considered under the vehicle, so then car is considered as a object. So object means that has that is a physical entity, and that is going to occupy some storage area in the memory or some area in the real world. So once object is decided, so then we can assign values to the members of the vehicle. So in this example, assume that car color is green. So then we can assign green to the color, and the length of the color, the length number can be assigned to the length member of the vehicle. If there is no car, so then we can't assign any values to the vehicle properties. So that is the reason why we call that the class is a blueprint. So until object is created under the class, we can't assign any values. So assume that next under the vehicle category I am considering bike, means in the first instance car, the second instance bike. So now the vehicle properties color is going to be yellow. Just assume that bike color is yellow, and bike length is going to be the value of length property in the vehicle. That's why we call that vehicle as a blueprint, because until object is created, no memory allocated to the members of the vehicle, and objects are created based on the vehicle only. So that's why we we define this object as instance of the class. Next property, I mean concept, encapsulation. Actually, this encapsulation word is derived from the capsule. So in the capsule, that generally contains two types of colors of wrapper, and in that wrapper the medicine has been enclosed. So in order to be free from any illness, we have to take that complete capsule as it is, but we won't separate, just we won't open that capsule and take that medicine. So in the same way, in object oriented programming also, encapsulation concept is used, so which is defined as wrapping up of data members and member methods under single unit. So how that medicine has been enclosed in the wrapper, in the same way these data members and member methods will be enclosed in a single unit. So that unit we call it as a class. So the class is generally used to provide security to the data in the program. So here the below picture depicts that the methods as well as variables, nothing but variables means member data members, and these two are enclosed in a single unit. That unit we are calling it as a class. So because class is going to provide security to the methods as well as data by combining them in a single unit. Next property, I mean next concept, abstraction. Abstraction means showing only essential information and hiding unnecessary information. So the data abstraction refers to provide only essential information to the user, means that is the programmer, and hiding unnecessary details. For example, let us take one simple real-time example. So if you have a look at this picture, in this picture we are able to see the internal parts of the car. So here we can see the steering, the many parts are there, just I am mentioning only few parts, that is a steering, brake, accelerator and a clutch. So if you want to increase the speed of the car, so then we press accelerator. If you want to stop the car, we press brake. Because for the driver must access brake and accelerator to increase the speed or to stop the car. But when we are pressing brake or accelerator, so internally how that car is moving and what are the mechanism has been implemented internally, and how it is moving, how that brake is working, how that car is getting stopped. So these details are not shown because as a driver he doesn't want that. So all those details are hidden and only necessary details are shown. So this is one real-time example. So as far as our object-oriented programming is concerned, so in that abstraction means how a method has been implemented, that implementation details will be hidden and only necessary details will be shown. So that property we call it as a abstraction. So this abstraction is implemented by using the abstract methods in the object oriented programming. Next concept is inheritance. Inheritance means getting properties from another class is known as inheritance, and using inheritance reusability is implemented. So now let us see one simple example, one real-time example. There is a parent and a child, means son or daughter. So generally sometimes we feel that this particular person, means a child, is looking like his father or looking like his mother. Generally we talk like that. So the child is looking like his father means, so that father property means father feature has been taken by the child, means some feature has been taken from the child, means child is taking that feature from the parent. So this is a simple example for the inheritance, means taking properties or features from some other one, we call it as inheritance. So in the inheritance, as far as our programming, this is one only parent child example, this is a real time example. And as far as our programming language is concerned, means object oriented programming language, so in this different classes will be there, and in one class some properties will be defined and the same properties will be taken by the some other class, and the same properties will not be redefined again in the different classes. So without redefining, the properties will be taken from the some other class, so where those have been already defined. So since we are not defining that and we are using already existing one, so that's why we call it as a reusability. So because of the reusability, so redundancy can be avoided. Redundancy means the same thing so will not be created again and again in the different classes. Already some features means some properties will be available in one class. From that class, all different classes can get those properties without redefining. So this concept we call it as an inheritance. Means inheritance is a process or a mechanism of getting properties from the another class. Okay, means one class is giving properties and another class is taking properties. Okay? So the class which is giving properties, we call it as a base class or parent class or super class. So in this example, parent child example, always the parent gives features to the child. So that's why this parent class we call it as a base class, parent class or super class. Now child is taking nothing but a class which is taking properties. So we call it as a subclass, derived class or a child class. Next concept is polymorphism. Poly means many, morphism means forms. Means having multiple forms is known as polymorphism. Let us take one simple real-time example. There is a person, and this person when he moves to the bank, that person is called as a customer and is showing a type of behavior in the bank with the bank employees. So that behavior is as a customer behavior. Now the same person when he is in the college, he will be called as a student and he behaves how student should behave in the college, and this behavior is different from the behavior of the customer, how he behaved in the bank. So now the same person when he go to his home, he will be called as a child of his parents and his behavior will be different with the family members. And the same person at three different places and he is showing three different types of behaviors, then same person having different forms, so that's why we call it as a polymorphism. So this is one real-time example. And coming to our programming, means object-oriented programming. So while writing programs in the object-oriented programming, we take one method and using that method, let us take add method. Method name is add. Using that add, we can perform addition of two numbers, mean two integers, and addition of two floating point numbers, and addition of one integer and one float. So three types of additions we can perform. In order to perform that, so we can use only one method. That method name is add. So add only one method name, but we are performing three different types of addition operations. So that's why we call this property as a polymorphism. One method and performing different operations. So that is having one method having different forms. So this concept we call it as a polymorphism. Thank you very much for watching my lecture.